forward, but some of this makes me wish he was playing point guard more during his career.
His whole career.
I mean, this is incredible.
Grizzlies, Suns, John Morant driving left, dunks all over Aaron Baines, Nick.
And you can't see it because our graphic is covering it, but if you saw time and score there, you would see this is a one-possession game in the final minute. And he goes and does this to Aaron Baines.
Remember, he played with Zion coming up. And obviously, I mean, imagine the dunks you saw with those two teams. You like that Baines went up.
Yeah, of course. But I don't like that he got beat to the rim. Come on, Aaron Baines, give him some room.
Hottest ticket in the NBA last night was north of the border. Kawhi Leonard making his long-awaited return to Toronto as a Clipper. And the Toronto faithful couldn't have been nicer. A standing ovation, MVP chants during the pregame ring ceremony. Kawhi finished with 23 points, 5 boards, and 6 assists in the Clippers' win. 112-92 was your final. Broussard, does Kawhi deserve MVP consideration despite all this load management that we keep talking about?
Absolutely not. Kawhi has willingly taken himself out of the top-tier regular season awards. And now he's showing you it's all about the playoffs. I'm about rings. I don't think he cares if he's in the MVP race. Now, he's clearly one of the best players in the league, but should he be in it? No. Part of the job description, Nick, is being there. That's part of it.
I would say a major part of it.
Because you're obviously most valuable player. How much value do you have for your team? You're missing games. You're hurting your team. Now, they're 4-3 without him. You said it. I know you're going to say it again. They're going to have a tougher first-round matchup because Kawhi is missing games. Of course. So you can't be in the MVP conversation. Now, he's one of the best players in the world. I think he should be in the discussion for best player in the world when he plays. But when you willingly sit out, no, I can't. There's no way you'll be the MVP. You won't be first-team All-NBA, even though you may deserve that as well. You'll probably be second team, but he's giving all of this up. And on top of that, Nick, his numbers aren't what they usually are.
Yeah, I mean, when you say you should be in the discussion for best player in the world, outside of the final 3 weeks of last season, he's never been in that discussion, and right now should not be.
I think he should. Well, I don't put him in there because of the missed games and the low management, but
let's just
it's not just numbers. When the eye test.
The eye test, he's great. The eye test to me is not that you don't watch him and get the same feeling of when you watch LeBron or Giannis or even this year Luka. Like, not to me. And so but you're obviously right on the MVP stuff. Like, just to answer the question, there's been one modern era MVP to not play 70 games if you remove the seasons that weren't 70 games. That's obviously not fair. It was Bill Walton in, I want to say 1978. He got hurt, but the team won 58 games. They were clearly the best team in basketball, and he barely, Dusty can check on this if memory serves, I think he barely beat George Gervin that year. It was very close, but he was on the best team in basketball. Kawhi's not going to be on the best team this year. He's not going to play, forget 70, he might not play 65. Last year he only played 60.
He's on pace for 60, I believe.
He's on pace for the same amount as he played last year. He misses a quarter of the games. And last year, by the way, he was not criticized for this because he was coming off a major injury, and Toronto was, we thought, trying to go above and beyond to try to convince him to stay. Right. So they were being extra, you need a day, take two type of situation. But if we're doing MVP candidates this season, there is a top tier. It is LeBron, Giannis, Luka, Harden, and Anthony Davis over the last few weeks has risen into it. The second tier would be Pascal Siakam, Kemba Walker, we just talked about, and Joel Embiid. Kawhi would be down in that third tier along with Jimmy Butler, I think his teammate Paul George, Donovan Mitchell, Spencer Dinwiddie. That's no. What? That's not an.
So are you saying great. He's that level of player?
No. I'm saying for the if you were doing your, I don't have a vote. You have a vote. I'm saying if you're doing the balloting, if I'm talking about level of player, that first tier are 5 players who are better than Kawhi Leonard right now.
I would not say they're better. Kawhi, you're right. If you just go by sheer numbers, he doesn't compare to the guys in your top tier.
Yeah.
But if you look at game and impact on the game, eye test, impact on the game, he is definitely in that class. We know how great he is defensively. Offensively, the thing I love about him, and this separates him from most players in the league, most of the great players in the league today, he doesn't need to dominate the ball to be effective. That's where the comparisons to Michael Jordan go. No wasted dribbles, no over dribbling the basketball, 2-dribble pull up. Mid-range game is incredible. He can get the shot he wants whenever he wants it. And the fact that he doesn't dominate the ball enables him to play with guys. It makes it easy for guys to play with him. That's why he's hardly played with Paul George. They haven't practiced, I don't believe yet, once or certainly not twice together, and they're fitting together seamlessly because Kawhi can get his offense in the flow of the system, and that's a valuable thing. It doesn't look as dominant as Luka or LeBron, a guy that's always Harden, always has the ball in his hands, but the effectiveness is incredible.
And last night, they blew out a really good Raptors team, a team that has been exceptional at home, and Kawhi was the best player on his team. He and Lou Williams. Paul George had a really rough game yesterday, and they still blew out the Raptors. But there's an element, pardon me, there's an element here to, it's not even revisionist history, it's created history. Kawhi Leonard only twice has been in an MVP discussion for the regular season. The 2016 and 2017 seasons. 2018, he was injured. 2019, he didn't play enough games. And prior to 2016, he was a 17-point-per-game type of player. He's only had 3 seasons in his career where he averaged more than 20 points per game. We know he's not a playmaker. Now, you mentioned the defense. And there was a point in time when Kawhi Leonard was the best defender in basketball. He and Draymond Green going back and forth for a 3-year stretch. That is not what he does anymore. Maybe he can activate it, but Kawhi Leonard, I watched that Milwaukee game. He wasn't head up against Giannis. I watched them against the Rockets. He wasn't head up against Harden because he has the workload on offense. They are not asking him to be the claw defensively that he once was, and so we're assigning at sometimes 2015 Kawhi Leonard defense to 2019 Kawhi Leonard when he's not demonstrating it to me night in, night out.
You had him in the 3rd tier. Would that be different if he wasn't load managing?
Well, of course.
What tier would you have him in?
Based on how he's played, he would be right there with Pascal Siakam, Kemba Walker, Joel Embiid. He'd be up a tier. His numbers, if you just were to pretend he had played every game this year, his numbers are good. They're not great. He's giving you 24 points, 7 assists, or 7 rebounds, 5 assists on really below his standard of shooting. 45%, 33% from 3. Like, he would not be with LeBron, Giannis, Luka, Harden, or Anthony Davis, given the way Anthony Davis has played lately.
Something has to be said about the load management, though, because there's this misnomer that, well, the Spurs did this, Duncan did this. Look,
Preach.
Tim Duncan played 82 games 4 times in his first 5 years. Now, I say 82. 1 year was 50, but that was a short season, the full season. He played 77 games his 13th year and his 18th year.
Yes.
His 18th year, Duncan played 77 games, averaged 29 minutes a game. Load management in San Antonio was nothing like what Kawhi is doing. It was more limiting our guys to 31, 32 minutes a game. Nobody plays more than 33, but it wasn't just sitting out 20-some-odd games.
And it was dropping the standard from playing, you're going to play 80 or more unless you suffer an injury.